You're tuning in because you want to get past the campaign slogans, right? Understand what's really behind those local election promises.
Yeah, exactly.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into one specific pledge in the Orléans writing.
Uh-huh.
It's this promise about bringing federal jobs to the area.
Right. And to really get a handle on this, we've gathered info from a few key places.
Okay,
We looked at independent candidate Mazhar Chowdhury's website, that's chowdhury.org, and also a campaign video he put out.
got it.
Then we're bringing in the perspective of the current MP, Marie-France Lalonde.
Okay, the incumbent.
Yes, and also checking out the Orléans Conservative EDA website, just to get, a fuller picture.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's the mission here?
Well, basically, to cut through the noise, understand the specifics, the context of this job promise in Orléans right now.
All right, let's dive in then. Mazhar Chowdhury, federal jobs for Orléans. That's the actual promise.
Okay, so his campaign website, it's pretty clear. It states the aim is bringing federal jobs to Orléans, explicitly. And he doubles down on this in his YouTube video. He actually talks about bringing both federal and provincial jobs to the riding.
Both. Okay. Any more detail on, why?
Yeah, he connects it directly to something Orléans residents know well, the commute.
Ah, Highway 174.
You got it. He basically says, look, more local jobs means less time on the 174.
Which means more family time, more money, staying local, that kind of thing.
Exactly that. More time, more money in the Orléans economy. That's the pitch.
Okay, clear vision there. And his website also mentioned something about business parks.
Yes, reviving business parks. The idea seems to be attracting incubators, investors.
And that links back to the jobs promise.
Precisely. He talks about these parks becoming thriving business hubs. The implication is, this would create more jobs, including those federal ones he's focused on.
Right, and it's important to note he's running as an independent, correct?
Yes, absolutely. His materials make that very clear. Independent candidate.
Okay, so to figure out how realistic this is, we need the other side. Who's the current MP again?
That's Marie-France Lalonde. She's the current member of parliament for Orléans.
How long has she been in?
She was first elected in 2019 and then re-elected in 2021.
Okay. And does she have any specific role that's relevant here?
She does, actually, and this is quite relevant. She's currently the parliamentary secretary to the Minister of National Defense.
Parliamentary secretary. What does that involve generally?
Well, they assist the minister, represent them sometimes, get involved in policy talks. It's a significant role within the department.
Okay, parliamentary secretary to the Minister of National Defense. Sounds very connected to federal employment. So what's the actual situation with federal jobs in Orléans, especially defense jobs?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe challenging for that promise.
How so?
The Department of National Defense headquarters, DND, it actually consolidated and moved.
Moved out of Orléans.
Well, it wasn't really in Orléans that big consolidated way before, but the big move, the massive headquarters with about 8,500 employees, it went to Canada.
Canada. Wow.
That's not
Orléans.
Not Orléans. It's over at 3500 Carling Avenue, the old Nortel campus. It was all about, consolidation efficiency.
So the biggest chunk of federal defense jobs in the region recently moved away from the East End, essentially.
That's the reality on the ground, yes. A major D&D presence established elsewhere in Ottawa.
That is, yeah, that's crucial context. Okay, what about the Conservatives? What's their angle in Orléans?
Right. So the Orléans Conservative EDA, they're backing Steve Mansour. Their website lays out their priorities.
And what are those? Anything about federal jobs specifically?
Their main message is broader. It's focused on enabling people to, quote, work, own a home, raise a family, and thrive. General economic well-being.
So important goals, but not that specific promise of relocating federal departments.
Exactly. There's no specific mention of moving federal jobs to Orléans on their site. The focus right now seems much more on campaign mechanics, to, commit to vote, volunteer, donate.
Got it. So the Conservatives have a wider economic focus, maybe implying job growth generally, but not that direct move the jobs here pledge like Chowdhury.
That sums it up well. You have the independent candidate with a very specific promise tied to local benefits like commuting. Then you have the incumbent MP who holds a relevant position in government, but whose associated department just made a major move out of the area.
Right.
And the Conservatives with a more general economic prosperity platform.
Okay, let's unpack that promise from Chowdhury a bit more. Moving federal jobs.
Yeah.
What does that actually involve? It sounds complicated.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's not simple at all. And that raises a key question for you listening.
Like what?
Like, what does it actually take to relocate a federal department? Think about the practicalities, the politics.
Yeah, I mean, you'd need buildings, right? Infrastructure.
Exactly. Suitable office space, transportation links, IT infrastructure. Then there are the operational needs of the department itself.
And the people. You can't just tell thousands of people to suddenly work somewhere else easily.
Precisely. The impact on existing employees is huge. Plus, government policy, budgets, it involves decisions way above the local level.
So there's a big difference between campaigning for something and
Mm.
actually having the power and the resources to make it happen. Yes,
It's one thing to advocate, another to implement.
absolutely. And Marie-France Lalonde, being in that parliamentary secretary role, she likely understands these complexities very well, especially regarding D&D.
Even though the D&D consolidation didn't land in Orléans.
Right. It probably gives her insight into how these major moves work or don't work.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, given the D&D reality, what other federal jobs could Chowdhury realistically be targeting? Are there smaller agencies? Maybe?
That's a good question. What else could potentially move or expand there? Okay, let's try and summarize the core points here.
We have Mazar Chowdhury, the independent, specifically promising federal jobs in Orléans, even linking it to easing the 174 commute.
Check.
We have the current MP, Marie-France Lalonde, holding a relevant parliamentary secretary role, but the related department, D&D, just consolidated its HQ in Canada.
Correct.
And the Conservatives, under Steve Mansour, talking broader economic well-being, but not making that specific federal job relocation promise.
That's the picture based on the sources we looked at.
So it really leaves you, the listener, with something to think about.
Definitely. Consider this. Given where major federal departments are located in Ottawa now, like DND in Canada, what are the real pros and cons of concentrating them versus spreading them out more?
Yeah. Is it better to have hubs or distribute the jobs across different communities like Orléans?
And maybe more importantly, what factors actually determine if a candidate can deliver on a big promise like this? What power does a local MP, especially an independent one, truly have to influence such large-scale government decisions?
Some really critical questions to mull over as you look at the different platforms.
For sure.
And if you want to dig deeper yourself, definitely check out the sources. Mazar Chowdhury's site is chowdhury.org.
Yep, and look up the official MP info from Marie-France Lalonde and visit the Orléans Conservative EDA website too.
Always best to go straight to the source and form your own view.